respected speaker, the principals who are here, teachers, parents, and dear students. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. And for the senior batch, welcome to your first session for the day. Before we continue to the introduction of the topic, let me give you a quick reminder on the set of guidelines that you should keep in mind. As the previous sessions, the queries and the questions that you have, you could type it in the chat box. We will take it up during the Q&A sessions towards the end. Please refrain from repeatedly typing the same questions over, as it might disturb the concentration of your fellow participants. Moving on to the topic, medical science. From time immemorial, man has always been concerned with his well-being. And throughout the ages, the scientists, researchers, medical practitioners have been constantly endeavoring to know more about the human body and trying to protect it from certain ailments. In fact, medicine has been, or medical science has been, a fast-growing epidemic in diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of diseases. Built on foundations laid by Egyptians, Babylonians, Greek, Indians, and Chinese, and from using clay to heal broken bones in the primitive ages, to organ transplants, and even to genetically modifying DNA in today's society, the human species have gained an astounding plethora of knowledge and understanding in the field of medical science since 1500 BC. This advancement in medicine and its practice can be attributed to the work of many scientists and medical professionals. These medical professionals and their discoveries are part of the reason why modern medicine has reached success today. Let me now introduce you to our speaker for the day, Dr. Subramania Iyer, Professor and Chairman, Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences and Research Center. Dr. Iyer's Department of Practice include Center of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery, Robotic Surgery, Head and Neck Surgery, Surgical Oncology, Composite Tissue Allotransplantation, and Ear Reconstruction. To mention a few of his many accomplishments, Dr. Iyer is recognized for conducting the first hand transplant surgery in India. He is the recipient of the Kamani Gold Medal for the Best Outgoing Postgraduate from AIIMS, Delhi. He was awarded the Peak Prize for the Best Innovative Work in Plastic Surgery in India. He also received a Distinguished Overseas Lecture Award by the Royal Australian College of Surgeons during the annual meet at Perth 2010. He was a Presidium member at the Eurasian Committee of Cancer Leaders, Moscow 2010, and a member of the World Cancer Leaders Summit, Shenzhen, China 2010. Recently, Dr. Iyer received an award for his exemplary performance in the field of transplantation in our country by the Union Ministry for Health and Family Welfare. Dr. Iyer is truly an eminent personality in the field of transplantation, and we are extremely honored to have you here with us and share his thoughts on medical science and its recent developments with you young minds. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you very much for the introduction. And then I will go to share my screen. Yeah. So I'm here to talk to you about medicine. Why is it special? What is something special about being a medical professional? Initially, few slides and few minutes, and then take you through some aspects of medical field which is of practical importance for your knowledge as well as practice in life also. And then maybe I'll take some questions from, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions from your side regarding, a lot of things in medicine. Now, so let me talk to you first. What is so special being a medical professional? Why is it that anybody working in a medical field is kept at a higher esteem? You saw when COVID started 2 years back, the initial 3 months was a huge sort of whole nation and world was in turmoil. And then you saw our prime minister coming out and lighting lamps, asking us to lighting lamps, then asking the Air Force to shower petals on a group of people. And that group of people were called COVID warriors at that time. And what is a COVID warrior? COVID warrior, majority of them, I would say, was from the field of medicine. There are a lot of other people like policemen, there are a lot of other social workers involved. They're all fighting COVID. But if you look at it, 90% of the work was shared by medical professionals. And in a pandemic, it has turned the world upside down. And then who was involved in getting the world back to activity, we are just limping back to normalcy. And that was done by medical professionals mainly. So that will answer the question, what is special about being medical professional? But I will just show you this one. See, this summarizes the why medical professional is being taken as so special. It deals with alleviating human suffering. It's very important, sentence. We all human beings are at one time or other have to suffer from pain, from disease, disfigurement, anything, discomfort. If you cannot eat because of your tummy ache, if you have to go to the toilet twice, rather than twice a day, you have to go umpteen number of times a day. If you hit against something and pain, that is suffering. And who deals with that? It is the medical professional. And one of the only 100% essential service that is essential to humanity is medical professional. You can do away with lawyers, you can do away with bankers, you can do away with administrators. You need everybody, but you cannot do away with the medical professional anytime. From time immemorial, Shilpa was talking to you about the time when medicine evolved from the, I would say, not Hippocrates. If you look at Indian medical science, it started long back. Ayurveda was from the time of Vedic times. So whenever the knowledge came, whenever civilization came, whenever human beings started existing, there was somebody to alleviate the human suffering, and that was a medical professional. It gives satisfaction more valuable than the money that you earn with the work. This is for you all who are budding, who might go into medicine taking it as a profession. Why will you do that? You know that it is an essential to humanity, so you'll get a job, it is something you are secure with. And it deals with alleviating human suffering. So you have a passion to help other people, is fine. Then the third part becomes important. Any work you do is measured in terms of money or other successes, fame and all those things are there. But majority of the people, the work means you have to earn money. In case of medicine, the satisfaction you get out of doing something good to the other patient and the gratitude the receiver either expresses or shows or whatever is that is immense. And then when you look at it after some time, when you look back, when I've been a doctor for now 40 years or so, when I look back, is it the money? I know I have made money out of the profession, but is it the money that has been more satisfying? No, it is more than that. The umpteen number of people who think that I've helped them in some stage of suffering. That gratitude is a important thing which will drive you. So a medical professional being, rather than any other profession, the satisfaction you get out of that work is more than the money is only in medical profession. The challenges you meet in your work make you more humane. You see, you all feel that when you have some pain, you feel you are miserable. Or when you are not having some, your family is not able to afford you something and you are not going to go for a trip or something, you feel miserable. When you are a doctor or a medical professional, you are surrounded by misery and then you feel you are fortunate. So it makes you more humane and then able to face your problems in a much better way. So these are the attributes of as a medical professional, which will make it unique than any other profession. So just see this picture. That patient's face shows all the thing. I didn't see, I should have not masked his eyes, because that eyes would have told you the misery he is undergoing with a massive tumor. He is not able to eat. It's a cancer. He knows that he might die soon. And see the wife sitting there helpless. So that picture will tell you the misery which is there. And this small video clip after uh, treatment, it doesn't look good. But then you see he is able to speak. He is able to live as a normal human being to some extent. So you will think that it is a scar, but imagine the tumor he had and the small scar he has, but he is able to drink, which he was not able to do. So this is the sort of work I would say a medical professional team can do. So that is the difference between the other specialties. If I get 1 lakh rupees out of my work, will my joy be equal to the fact that I see him drinking now? No. So that is what you have to look at it. This is the only profession which might be able to give you much more value for money for your work than any other profession. Now, we are talking about medical profession. Now, do you need to always to be, see, you're all a lot of young people. Do you need to be a doctor to deliver this thing? No, medical professional means there are immense opportunities. It gives you varied options to pursue. So it is not that you should be a doctor. You should know, unless you get into MBBS, you're gone. No, I don't think you should develop. If you have a passion for medical sciences, just keep your horizons so broad. Don't be harping on that. I have to write the NEET and then get into medical college and do MBBS. No, there are a lot of options where you can be associated with medical profession. As a medical professional, you can work, which might be even more gratifying than being a doctor. You can be a doctor, you can be a doctor scientist. Like becoming a doctor doesn't shut you off from science. You can be still doing research when you're working. You can do one project, so you can look at various problems you face with. So you can be a doctor or doctor scientist. Usually people say that when you become an MBBS doctor, you always forget about everything. Just it's only the patient. No, it's not that. you can continue your scientific temperament, research temperament when you're a doctor. You can be a basic sciences researcher, immense scope. I mean, you can go up to PhD, postdoc, and you can go into the level academic sort of ladder. You can step up being up to a professor with being a basic scientist. At that point, when you are a basic scientist, somebody was, I saw the chat box, how can medicine prevent the pandemic and all those, help in future pandemics. It's the basic sciences researcher is the one who gives the doctors the armamentarium for fighting the diseases. Now, if you look at cancer treatment about 20 years back and now, there are a lot of cancers that are being treated by medicine, by targeted therapy, it is called. And that all came from basic sciences research. I like to mention, say they all work in common with, in a close collaboration with medical sciences. Now, you can, just that word, allied health specialist, is a huge thing. Don't think that's a single, 3 words. You can have immense, in Amrita, there are 46 branches of allied health now, apart from nursing and pharmacy and all those things. And all these are exciting. It's, don't think that only being a doctor, it is exciting. Being a nurse, it can be exciting. You are working more than a doctor. You are working close with the patient. And the amount of, the interaction you have with the patient and the satisfaction you get the patient is probably more with a nurse. You can go into medical technologist, or you can go into, EEG study, any 26 courses in Amrita itself, but at least I can name you around 60 courses which you can take as an allied health specialist. So this is the summary of the thing which I wanted to give you as a background for making you aware of what is special about medicine and what all the things you can talk about. See, if I keep on talking about medicine, there is not going to stop. There are a lot of things to talk. So I will now shift my talk to a couple of things in medicine, which I told you. See, I am going to talk to you about 2 topics here in medicine, where the first one is related to organ donation and transplant, because it's important. It has got a lot of social message for you also. There is a lot of science about in the medical science you will learn from this topic. The second one is a brief few slides on how technology has integrated with surgical sciences in a very, see, that's again a vast topic. I'll come to that, but I'll just show you a few things there. Organ transplants and donation is something something unique, and it is least understood, and but again comes into the essential nature of the service the medical professional team gives to the patient. Let us look at this one. What are transplants? Transplant means that you are taking something to replace the form and function of something which is missing or something which is not working in a person. It can be, example, I will just, simple example is, you have 2 kidneys, and then both the kidneys go off, you will have renal failure. That is called kidneys don't function. So what happens? Your body accumulates fluid. The body passes out waste materials through the urine. And if urine is being not produced, it will accumulate in your body, and the body will become edematous, and then you will have a lot of complications and even death. So when both the kidneys fail, the only way is to filter this. Kidneys filter the blood. So it is filtered by the blood. You can do an artificial filter, which is called dialysis, but that is a cumbersome thing. So when kidneys fail, you can transplant them. So that is one. Secondly, see, you all have heard about blood transfusions, blood banks. Many of your parents would have given blood, or they would have talked about blood. You would have heard about blood transfusion. Blood is being replaced when somebody loses blood in a surgery or an accident. You have to you have to give blood. That is also a transplant, because you are transplanting the blood of somebody else into your body. Now, in cancer surgery, you remove a lot of things, then you replace them with something. So that is also a transplant. So I'll show you this one. See, again, transplants can be of different things. Auto transplant, iso, cyno, and allo. Auto transplant is taking from your own body and transplanting to your own body. So this is a picture of a person who has lost his upper jaw. What we have done is to take the bone from the legs, shape it as per the bone, and then put it in the jaw, giving the shape for the patient. What you need to do is only to provide blood supply, because when you take it out and put it back, you have to connect the blood, then only it will work. But there is no other issue. It will work. If you are transplanting, see, iso transplants is like I will come to, let me go to this allo transplant. Let me come to this and I'll go back to that slide. See, again, it is from transplanting some tissue from some person, like me to you, or somebody like that, transplanting. So that is from same another individual of same species. Like human beings are one species. So if you transplant from one person to other, it is called allo transplant. It is like you can transplant the blood, as I told you, kidney can be transplanted, cornea, eye transplants can occur. What is the problem here? Basic problem. Why can't you do? Why is this organ transplant a big sort of vast field of science? You cannot just do it like that, because our body has a system called immune system. Which fights the foreign materials. Like COVID is a virus. You can have bacteria. So whenever something comes into your body, the body identifies as it is something not yours. So it surmounts something called immune reaction. It brings in all its reserves of cells which can kill this thing, what has come in. That is called something called immune rejection of the organism. It was mainly meant to safeguard your body from other organisms or other things. But when you transplant, what happens is that the body thinks it is not yours. It is something foreign. When you transplant a kidney from somebody else to another person who needs it, the body doesn't get that point. Body, even though we do it for best thing for the body thinks that it is something foreign. It has come to attack me. So then it starts mounting, the process for rejection. That is where the kidneys are rejected. So the problem is in transplants, this rejection has to be stopped. Otherwise, the organ which you transplant will die off. So that is the problem with organ transplants. Let me go back to the other one. Iso transplants, like if you think that you have say get okay. Am I not audible?
You're audible, sir.
Am I audible? Let me.
You are
I thought,
audible, sir.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. So isotransplants are something which you transplant from some identical twin to other person, no problems. The body thinks that is same person. Genetically, they are same. The last one is xenotransplants. Why don't you see? There was a recent news article, big news article about one pig's heart being transplanted to a human being. This was in the news recently. How did they do it? If you transplant a pig's heart to somebody just like that, that heart will just go off because totally genetically, different. But what they did was to genetically alter the pig and bring in the genetic signature of that human being into the pig's heart. That's how it worked. So this will summarize you the types of transplants, and we are going to talk only about allo transplants. Now, so organ transplants are usually allo transplants from other organs. When is it done? I talked to you about that in detail about the kidney. When the vital organs are the filtering mechanism of the body regarding all your waste materials. So if they fail, you will need to do your dialysis. That is by putting your blood through the machine, and it purifies and brings you back. You have to do it twice a week. Otherwise, in those cases, the alternative is to give a new kidney. That is a kidney transplant. Which are the organs that can be transplanted? Now, what are the organs that fail, which can be transplanted? There are a lot. I mean, internal organs are the most important thing because they are life. They are essential for life. Heart is essential. The patient's heart fails, you cannot live. Lungs fail, you can't live for long. Kidneys fail, you will have to do dialysis or you might even fail that. Liver failure is a common thing now because of alcohol, because of other diseases. Your liver fails, you will die unless you have a transplant. Pancreas is the one which produces your insulin. So if the pancreas fails, you can die. Small intestine, it's the huge sort of organ which digests your food. If you don't have that, you can die. So these are the internal organs whose failure you might need to a transplant. Now, there is something called composite tissue transplant, which includes transplant of the hand, face, the uterus. That's the the when a female cannot have doesn't have a working uterus, you cannot have babies, so you can transplant the uterus. You can eye transplant. The cornea transplant is something which is known all the time. You can transfer cells like bone marrow, blood transfusion, and then other tissues like heart valve, bone, skin, everything can be transplanted. What are the advantages and disadvantages of organ transplant versus other treatment? Now, the best part of organ transplant is that it replaces the diseased organ and restores the function. So once it is done, there you're quite okay. And then it is mostly life-saving in your internal organs is life-saving. And more than that, when you have a heart failure patient, their life is so miserable, they cannot walk even step. If your lung is failed, you will have to depend upon oxygen even to walk to your toilet. So it improves your function and the quality of life when you do a successful transplant. What are the disadvantages? This is what I told you about it. The body thinks that it is somebody else's, it has to be rejected. So what can we do to prevent that? You have to take some medicines which kills away your immune system so that the body cannot fight this organ, to thinking that it is you don't have that immune system is so suppressed that the body cannot fight this organ which has been transplanted. So what is the problem with that? Immune system is essential for your body to prevent diseases. So you are suppressing it, means that you can have other diseases. So you have to be very, very careful. Any person with the transplant cannot be just casually taking a common cold which you have. You need not treat it, but that person will have to be treating it cautiously, because their system is not able to fight that even cold. Now it needs a donor. Somebody has to give the organ, then only you will get the donor. And technically it is challenging. It is not done in all the hospitals, and it can be expensive also, because the medicines you use for transplants are also expensive. What and how are they done? I'll just quickly take you through. You need a donor. It has to be a live donor or a dead donor. And which are the organs that can be taken from a live person? I have 2 kidneys. I can live with one. So I can donate one of my kidneys without problem. Liver, I have a big liver. I can take part of the liver and give it to somebody else. No other organ you can. I cannot give my heart. I cannot give my pancreas or small intestine, because if I give that, I will die. So those things can be transplanted only from dead people. There is some that dead people, then again it has to be matching to some extent. Like a blood group matching, tissue has to be matched and found that uh, it has to be found that both the donor and recipient are comfortable with a sort of matching the tissues. Then this is something you need not. This is a cross match. If you have antibodies, if you think that the organ will be rejected, you should not transplant. That is why this cross match is done. Then this is the history of transplants. 1905 was the first corneal transplant. 54 was the first kidney transplant by Joseph Murray. He got a Nobel Prize for that. He was a plastic surgeon. 66 was the first successful pancreas transplant. 67 liver transplant. 67 again heart transplant, the first one by in South Africa. 87 was the whole lung transplant, and the hand transplant for the first time was in 98, and 2005 was the first successful face transplant. Now you look at it, this is the kidney transplant picture. So you can see these are the 2 kidneys which have failed. This is the normal position of the kidney. You can see the atrophic shrunken kidney. So when you take somebody else's kidney, you don't take away this kidney, just keep it there and keep it in the abdominal thing and connect the blood vessels and the ureter to the thing. Only one kidney is transplanted, but that is enough for you to live. So instead of the 2 kidneys, one kidney will work. And this is the way heart transplant is done. You just take away the diseased heart and put the new heart and suture in place. It takes about 5 to 6 hours. And this is the liver transplant. So this is the liver that has been taken out. And now the liver is connected. This is the entire liver that is being shown. It has been removed, and the new liver has been put in its place. And it can be, again, partial liver. You can take the part of the liver in a human being, in a live person, and transplant it. And you can see the cornea. This is the eye transplant. You always hear about eye donation. The cornea is that transparent thing in front of your eye. That is the transparent thing. It becomes opaque due to various reasons, and then the light cannot pass through that. What you do is to remove that and put a new cornea there. So you can see this is that you can see this is the face, but it suits you and works very well. And this is the hand transplant, which you are mentioned that we did the first hand transplant.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. If I'm audible, your voice is. I think we have a technical issue.
I think he has left the session. I will admit him.
Kindly wait, he will rejoin soon. In the meantime, till Sir rejoins, uh, kindly for the note of the students, take note that the spot finals that was fixed for 24th of February has been changed to another date. It will be on the 5th of March. There has been a postponement of the date, that is from 24th, it's been changed to the 5th of March. So you will be receiving messages, emails regarding the date change, or you could visit the website regarding the notice. We have Sir here now. Sir, if you're audible,
I'm okay now. I'm sorry.
yes, yes,
It got
sir.
disconnected. Am I audible? I'll
Yes,
go
sir.
back to the
Yes.
share screen. Share screen. I think we stopped here. I think we got lost here. So this is the patient with the hand loss, and mechanical hand is one way to do it. You can see the mechanical hand, but it doesn't work very well. You don't have sensation. You cannot touch water very well. So hand transplants are better. How do you do transplants? You take the hand from a dead person. You take it and give that dead person a prosthetic hand so that the body can be given in an honorable way. Then you dissect out all the structures like this, and in the donor also, recipient also, you dissect out like this. You connect all these structures. See,
Sir, your voice is not audible. I think.
You're on mute, sir.
So you're on
Shilpati.
mute, sir.
I'm okay now. No, sorry, I do apologize. It's
No
basically
problem, sir.
it's okay now.
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Okay.
Sir.
Is my screen visible, or I have to share it again?
You will have to share it again, sir.
Share it. Yeah. What is the most important component in organ transplant? It is the organ donor. Because unless you have a donor, you cannot do a transplant. Simple, very simple thing. And what is organ donation? And how do you donate the organ? How is it done? That's a big question which you all should know. See, there are two types of donors, as I told you. It can be a live donor or a deceased donor. And live donor is somebody who is related or unrelated. You can give one kidney or you can give a part of the liver. Whereas deceased donor means you are dead. The donor is dead. The death can be of two types. Cardiac death means your heart stops. The other one is a brain death, where your brain stops, but your heart works. And then at that time, you can procure the organs. So live related donors are, all these people can donate. And then, coming to the other one, between the brain death and cardiac death is something which you have to know. That is the most important thing. That what happens with the heart, when your heart is stopped, cardiac death, you can donate only few things. You can donate the eyes, you can donate the skin, you can donate heart valves, bones and tendons and cartilage. That's all. Very minimal things. The other things, why is it needed? Why cannot you donate your heart after your cardiac death? Because heart is not working, so it cannot be transferred. Whereas in a brain death, what happens is that brain death occurs due to a lot of things. You have a road traffic accident, it's the most common thing. If you have a brain hemorrhage, it stops your brain, but your heart works. And that is the time when you can procure the organs. The heart has its own pacemaker. The brain stops, but the heart keeps on pumping. So it may go on up to 24 to 72 hours. And then you support the patient on a ventilator, all organs will be quite healthy. So at that time, you could donate your organ, that person, so organs can be taken. And then how do you know the patient is brain dead? You have lot of tests to do that. The patient cannot breathe without a ventilator. There's no response to pain. There are certain sort of tests to ascertain that you are brain dead. That person is brain dead. So you cannot be, and then a lot of people need to come and certify that is a brain dead before declaring that, because there are a lot of, you have to be very careful. You're going to open the abdomen and take out the heart. Then you have to be sure that this patient is brain dead. So a team of people comes and checks and makes sure that they are brain dead. And then two such teams have to do it at a 6-hour interval. Then only you can pronounce them as a brain dead person and take the organs. So usually there is not much of problem. Will the body be mutilated after organ donation? No, it won't be, because there will be a small scar. Even in the case of hand, you saw, we give a prosthetic hand, so it doesn't mutilate the body. So all these organs can be donated. Like it is said that one person who is dying with a brain death person can save at least 8 lives. 8 people can live if that family allows organ donation. 1 heart, liver, 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, intestines, pancreas, hands, everything can be donated. So 6 to 8 lives can be saved if you want to do. And then there is a big necessity of organs in the country. And then that is what is the problem? The problem is the ignorance. So why, as I told you in the beginning of this topic, when I told you, you are learning a lot of medical science out of these slides. But then you are learning a lot of social messages also, which means that, see, why is important? Because organ donation has to be promoted. And why is not catching up? Because people don't know. At least now your group knows that organ donation is something good. And then the problem with the organ donation, everybody who is a relative of the person who is going to donate is already brain dead. They cannot say now anything. So the relatives have to agree. So the family's duty to do that, and no religion actually says no to this. And so this was the message finally we always give to even medical students during the first 1 month of the course, they're all taught all these slides. These slides were prepared for them also, that you have to spread the message. Then don't take your organs to the heaven, because heaven, that is God, knows that they need it here. So it is all our duty to promote organ donation. I think that I have given you an overview of what is organ donation, what are the organs that can be donated, and how it is transplanted. And then, so what is the importance of organ transplant and how is it done? So this is some message which I want to give in that part. Second one is this is the last part. This will be a small part, but because, as I told you, biomedical engineering technology has got lot of interaction with medicine now. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is something which you all would have been learning in computer science now. One of the focus areas of medical research is using AI and machine learning in solving your medical problems. So that is the way medicine is getting integrated to technology. I will just show you one technological thing which has helped us to do our surgery better. See, I'll take you through one patient, then you will know. A couple of patients, then you will know. This was a guy who had a huge swelling of the face. See this swelling? He can move his eyes. He can see with the eyes, but it's a massive swelling in his face. So this is a swelling arising from his, upper jaw. And this is how he is walking. Just see this picture. It's fascinating. Oh, it's not going. Sorry. No. Yeah. This is the swelling. You can see it is full of bone. This picture is something called 3D reconstruction of your CT scan, which is something new about, I would say, about 15 years back this started, which has helped us to look at the bones in a much better way. Now you see, the other one is a normal CT scan. On the right side, that red one, that beautifully thing is a 3D reconstructed virtual model of his jawbone and the tumor. Now, what technology has helped us? What do you need to do in this patient? You have to remove the tumor with the jawbone. And then how do you do it? You have to completely remove it. And then you cannot leave the child with like that. You have to reconstruct it. You have to give a bone. So how do you do that? This is where the technology helps us. This is something called stereolithographic model printing. You have the CT scan. You give it to the machine with some software. You recreate that bone structure in that software and send it for printing. The printer gives you the exact shape of the skull. This is the first picture is the way you have removed the tumor. I can now cut in the computer the whole thing and get a print. So that print gives me the picture of the tumor that has been printed out. Now, what I do is to take you're going to reconstruct with the leg bone. Now, you print out one of the leg bone also, and then cut it into pieces, put it there, and put this, you have to keep it there. So you have to put plates and screws. So fix everything. Now, I know that this is the way the child has to have the bone made. So this is something called virtual surgical planning. I can plan my surgery in the lab to recreate the surgery. And then see, this is the actual surgical part. You can see the huge tumor, and this is him after the surgery. So wow, how it has been, this is him. I think it will work. Let me see, moving around. So this was him. You could see that person before, and now he's able to sort of mingle outside, and then he is back in his village in Jharkhand, and he has started working as a social worker, in the medical social worker. He is a medical professional now, because he couldn't go for MBBS or other things. But he thought that after suffering this much and being cured of his problem, he should do something good to the people. So he's a medical social worker. So that is how the technology helped. Now look at this baby and look at the baby on this right side. The same baby with absolutely nothing in the lower jaw has been restored back to this. This is again by mixing up of medicine, surgery, and technology together. You see this girl who had her jaw removed. She is back to her university studies with this teeth. And lastly, you see this lady who had the upper jaws. You have heard about black fungus, which was there in the COVID time. So the black fungus was causing these sort of things. It was taking away your jawbone, and then you had to reconstruct it. So you reconstructed with a model like this. You took the bone and shaped it, and then see the result. And she wanted teeth. These are the titanium implants that have been placed into the bone, and this is the teeth given, and this. So there is a lot of mingling of technology now in your surgery, medicine, everywhere. And I'm sure in times to come, this is going to improve, increase more and more. Your X-ray, which is being done, will be now read by, there will be a pattern generated. This artificial intelligence will detect a pattern. And then if you just feed it, you will get a suggestion by machine learning. You will say, this is this one, this is that one. That is the way. And if I sit here, I can get a picture from America and then look at it and say, I can do these things, surgery there. And robotic surgery is there where the machine does the surgery. I can control it from my table here with a computer, what the machine does somewhere else with us, of course, with the help of other people. So that is how things change. See, this is I think last picture where even the jaw, the lower jaw joint can be replaced now with the implant and the joint, artificial joint. So let me end. Medical profession, it's quite noble profession. Whatever you say about anything else, it's a noble profession. It is fascinating, it is challenging, it is rewarding, and I think the fascinating has come again. It is really fascinating, I would say. But let me tell you again, medical profession is not just the doctor. You can be in the medical profession through different pathways, which I said, which everything is fascinating and challenging in medicine. Let me end here. Thank you. I'm open to questions now.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such a brief but very insightful session on the topic that is so relevant and has it talks about such a generous and amazing act, the organ donation and then transplantation. Thank you so much, sir. Now moving on to the Q&A. Kindly note that your names will be called out and you will be asked to unmute. Only ask one question. And when you ask the question, say your name, class, and the school, also the state from which you are from. We'll begin the Q&A session. First, Aksit. You can unmute and speak now. Aksit.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Akshit Kanwal from class 9th from Kendra Vidyalaya, Anna Nagar. And my question is, can organs of other animals can be useful for transplantation of organs in human beings in future? Because recently one transplant was such that heart valves of the genetic pig. So any other organ of animal can be useful for human transplantation of organs.
No, actually, I see. You are right. That news was quite, widespread news, and it's a remarkable achievement. I mean, wonderful sort of. I mean, some sort of path-breaking achievement. Now, as I told you, animals are of a different species, so their proteins are totally different. The antigens, antibody reaction, everything is based on your proteins. Protein expression and genetic background creates your protein. So that is the way. So when animals, it is totally different. So the body's reaction to reject this organ will be much, much more than if it is transplanted from human. So how did they succeed? They succeeded because that pig's heart, it was transplanted, not even valve. Pig's valve have been transplanted before because it doesn't have any cells. There's no immunity, so there's no immune problems. But this was the whole heart. What they did was something called gene editing. There's a CRISPR technology where there's a that was again a Nobel Prize type of work, which allows you to modify your genetic structure, which has been done in the pig to making it suitable to the recipient's body, like a human heart. That is how the heart was transplanted. Why pig's heart? Why not a dog's heart? Why not a sheep's heart? Because pig's heart has got the most marked similarity to human heart. So your question, can other animals be used or it's only the pig? It is difficult to say because majority of the organs which you need, kidney and thing, out of this, heart of the pig and heart of human heart is almost similar. But you don't find lot of similar organs. But in future, I'm sure this will come when the technology comes that way. It might come that other species might be found fit for some particular organ and can be done. But it is not a common thing that can be done now. So in future, with this breakthrough, we can expect similar sort of progress in years to come.
Thank you, sir. Next, Ardra TJ. You can now unmute and ask your question. Ardra TJ.
Studying in class. Sir,
You are not audible.
am I audible?
Yes.
Teacher, and I'm studying in class 12 and I'm from Kendriya Vidyalaya Adur, Kerala. Sir, I was really amazed, after seeing the pictures that you showed about tumors and removing them. Sir, I wanted to ask if, how tumors are removed, especially like from delicate areas of the body, like face. And sir, I've heard about skin grafting. So, like, I wanted to know how the gap from where the skin is taken is filled.
Yeah, look, what was your name? Adira. Adira, no? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're
Yeah,
audible,
okay.
sir.
Now, the question of how do you remove these tumors, it's a surgical procedure. You put the patient on anesthesia and then, like you do anything, remove any of the tumors, anything, you cut it out. Simple word is to cut it out by special methods. You have if it is only the skin and tissue, you can open up with a knife, and if it is a bone, you will have to use saws or drills, and then so that is a purely surgical way of removing it. There are different methods suggested to how to do it over a period of time. Textbooks describe, your experience also counts in that. The second part is the skin graft. Skin graft is something which you do when there is a loss of skin. It can be due to injury, it can be due to burns, all those things. Now, the skin graft is usually taken from your own body. You take with a knife, and then you have the shaving old type of shaving razor, no? Where there's similarly you have a Humvee's knife where there's a blade where you just with the small strokes you get a thin layer of skin and take it and put it on the area where it's needed. It is something called skin graft where you don't you don't need to re-establish the blood supply because the nutrients come from the bed, it just diffuses in. Whereas what you saw in that boy was transferring the big parts like a bone from the leg. That cannot be just placed there. It has to be done by connecting its own blood vessels to the neck vessels where the blood supply will be restored. Then only it will work. Whereas the skin grafts don't need a blood supply to be restored. You can just place it there and it absorbs the nutrients and works.
Thank you, sir. Next question is by Shreyansh Singh. Shreyansh, you can unmute now. Okay, then we'll move on to the next person. Nishant Varda. You can now unmute. Nishant Varda.
Can you hear me?
Please ask your question.
So this is Nishant Varda from Whitefield Global School in Karnataka. I'm studying in grade 9th. So my question was, can allotransplant be done between organisms other than humans? Sir? Sir, you're not
audible, sir. You're not audible yet, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, now I think I answered the question that it is other species is a xenotransplant, which has got that the pig's transplant. So others other than human beings, you can do that. Only once has been done in the world now.
Thank you, sir. Next, Anushka Singh.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my name is Anushka Singh. I am from KV number 2, Chandi Mandir. Sir, my question is, what are the requirements for a patient to be considered to receive a transplant?
For a patient to be considered, because there should be an indication for transplant, obviously. That patient, some organs has to be failing, or they should have lost parts like hands or anything for transplant. But once you have decided that this patient needs an organ transplant, then you have to assess the patient for the fitness for the surgery. It's a long surgery, so you have to make sure that he or she is quite fit to undergo the surgery. And then they shouldn't have cancers. If you have a cancer, the medicines you give to prevent this organ rejection might increase the cancer. So if the patient should not have cancers, the patient should be healthy enough to have undergo the surgery and then live for some time. So these are only the criterion, and then you should have a donor and a matching donor. So that's the only thing. But generally speaking, any known cancer in that patient or in the donor will prevent you from transplantation, and then fitness for surgery to undergo a major procedure are the two things.
Thank you, sir. Next, Priya Mangal. Priya Mangal. Please unmute.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, I am Prem Mangal from class 11th of Indrapram Public School.
Yeah.
So, sir, my question to you is, if we somehow manage to transport one cell at a time between two humans, at what point would one human become the other?
It is very difficult to transfer like that, because the problem is, you have to look at changing? What are the things which make you as an individual? A lot of things, your shape, your body structure, then finally your brain, all those things. And then the thought process and mind and something beyond that is beyond the discussion point here. So even if you structurally change in the lab, this is like cloning. So what you call is a cloning, where you have a cell. In fact, one single cell you can take and then clone something now, which is prohibited now, but it was that dolly, that the animal which has lived for a long time, was the first cloned thing which was made in the lab. So you might be able to, it might be able to clone, taking my cell and taking my DNA and then bringing out with a lot of technology and all those things, something like me. I don't know, but there won't be any technology to transfer that mind and the brain, the working part of the brain and the mind and all is beyond that. No. So that's the problem with the artificial intelligence and machine learning, all those things, where you can maybe do a lot of things, but it doesn't replace a human being totally because of the feelings and everything.
Thank you, sir. Next, Shreyansh Singh, you can ask the question now. You can unmute now, Shreyansh. Then we move on to the next person. Praveen Kumar Naik, you can now unmute and ask your question.
Good morning, sir. I'm Praveen Kumar Naik from Jupiter Public School, Odisha.
Yeah.
My question was that will robotic AI and all these new internet metaverse will take up the place of human doctors and all?
A lot of work that is being done by the doctors might be taken over. Lot of work. But all the machines will need human sort of, human presence for directing them and getting it done at some point of time. And the doctor is not just like when we are doing that surgery, it is not just doing the surgery and giving by the patient. There is a lot of something called empathy, which is the feelings you transfer to the patient or the patient transfers to you. And there are a lot of times when you cannot treat the patient completely. There are patients with cancer whom you cannot treat and they might die. Then how do you do it? The machine understand the feeling and then take them through till their death with an empathy, empathy embedded type of behavior? That will never come. That is why in a medical profession, the doctors or medical professional cannot be replaced. But lot of things which we do might be aided, helped. Even now, over a period of my lifetime itself, lot of things have changed. I used to read books. If I want to answer you something, I had to go to the library, take the thing, references, then go to the shelf, take the book, and all those things. It took 2 days to answer the question. But what can you do now? I can Google it in 1 minute and answer you. But I can answer you better than you reading the Google because I know the subject better. So this is the same analog. You machines and other knowledge and technology will help you. But finally, there should be the interpretation and implementation. There is the where emotions and other things are involved. It cannot be replaced by machines. But machines definitely AI and everything like will be playing a huge role.
Thank you, sir. We move on to the next person, Rajshri Sangra. Rajshri Sangra, you can please unmute now.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good evening, sir. I am Rajsi Sangra. I am studying in class 11th. I am from Kendriya Vidyalaya Bantalab, Jammu and Kashmir. My question, as you said in the beginning of the session, how medical sciences has contributed towards the ongoing situation, the pandemic, and how we have come so far with it, how the coming of vaccine has helped us come so far, like the situation has improved and all that. So, in which terms do you believe that we as a nation, India, needs to improve in terms of medical sciences so that we can future stand such pandemics?
See, if you look at it, how we manage the first wave, second wave, and third wave is slightly different. You know that, no?
Yes.
You know that it has been. How did it come? Because everybody learned from their experience, not mistakes, experience, which you improved on how you tackle it. Along with that, how did it know that experience was not from just treating the patients? It was looking at the virus, how did it change, and then how Omicron was detected within a few weeks of its emergence. It was not the case when COVID first virus was detected. It took months to decipher what was going on. So there is a lot of things which experience teach you, and then lot of fascinating things which things we can develop because of this experience. So now a pandemic occurs, it might not be similar as COVID. It can be different also. It can be spreading through different route. Its symptomatology might be target organ might be something else. It can be a liver, it can be brain, all those things. So you cannot generalize your medical management based on that. But what you generally look at is that a pandemic situation, how we should behave, what is the way you should target looking at the solutions, all those things taught for a lifetime by this virus. So again, you are answering to the other question, how can we be prepared is by one is that learning from the experience, you need to build up infrastructure well. That is how the we failed bit in the second wave because the infrastructure was not available. We didn't expect that. You know, the oxygen shortages and bed shortages and all those things. Now, if you look at it, the number of ventilators, number of oxygen plants across the country and all is quite large. We are well equipped to tackle the situation now. So similarly, our infrastructure has to be ready. So there has to be a better health planning where you are anticipating something and then you build up, and the money that is spent for health is much better than before. Now everybody knows that health is an important thing. Till this time it was only 2% of the GDP just being given. Now it is much more. So, and then I know as a researcher, there's a lot of money that has been allotted for research now. We get more funding. So this is how things change. And so we will be better in a better shape to look at the endemics or pandemics that come in future also. But as a country, as a scientist, as a doctor, medical professionals, we will be much more better equipped than before.
Thank you, sir. Next, Sadhana Kumari.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I am Sadhana Kumari, student of class 9 from Kendriya Vidyalaya number 1, Asaf Husanpur, Punjab. So my question is, what is the role of macrophages in chronic inflammation?
Sadhana, see, your question is precise. Macrophages are the cells which engulf the foreign materials. I mean, any of these things, any of them, and kill them. There are a lot of cell systems which are stimulated when there is inflammation. Inflammatory reaction is something which is a common pathway for fighting diseases, rejection, everything, inflammation, all these things. So there, macrophages.
Sir, you're not audible, sir.
It is, I would say, it will be something like a scavenging sort of system, body that, and the macrophages are the ones which mount that inflammatory response. It is a type of cell which is transformed cell, the cell which is transformed to macrophages because of the situation of the inflammation, right? And it has sort of cleansing up sort of function. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Next, we have a question by Tarun S. Tarun, please unmute.
Sir, my name is Tarun, sir. I am from DA Public School, Kukatpally, Hyderabad. I'm studying in class 10, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, even though we have done many discoveries in neuroscience, sir, like the case of Henry Molaison, where we studied the hippocampus. For Alzheimer and dementia, why we have to stick for traditional therapy, sir? Why can't we regenerate the lost brain neurons? Why is not possible, sir?
It's something, people have been working on using the stem cells and all those things. But unfortunately, there are a lot of things that can be improved. A lot of diseases that can be improved by if availability of the therapy or treatment is available. So degeneration of neurons, preventing it, why can't you the person whose spinal cord is cut, paralyzed from waist down, why can't you suture them together and get it done? It doesn't work. And it has not been understood how to bridge that gap, the action, that allowing the growth of this thing so far. So degeneration of the neurons is something like that. So the lot of aspects which are unknown and not done now. So why it can be not be done, all these factors, there are a lot of different things. First of all, the mechanism and how to deal with that mechanism is not known in many of these things. That is a simple answer. And that is why research is going on. Even in that case, there are a lot of research going on in the degeneration of neurons and then use of stem cells and stimulating that and electrical stimulation. All those things are there. So that is why it is not possible. Many of the questions you might ask, why is not possible, is the same answer. We don't know really what is happening. And then, but when I say we don't know really what is happening, don't be thinking that nothing is being done. I'm sure huge lot of people must be looking at the research into degeneration of, regenerating neurons.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We will be now taking up only 2 more questions. The rest of the questions, there are almost 16 to 15 more answers, but the rest of the questions, I request you all to put it in the chat box. We will be taking it up and answering to you, getting back to you by videos or as an information that will be posted in the website. The next question, it will be by Sri Lasya DV. Sri Lasya.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sri Lasya and I'm a student of class 9 from Time School, Hyderabad. So my question, the human brain is quite a complex organ. So is it actually possible for us to transplant it? And I've also heard about a very rare type of blood group called the golden type or the RH null blood group. And only 50 people in the world are present with this blood group. So is it possible to transplant organs of the people with this blood group?
What was the first organ which you wanted to ask me? Brain, is it? You were asking about brain? Yeah. So another brain, the problem is the head transplant that was publicized before. It doesn't work. See, the same thing which I told you. Why can't you repair your spinal cord when it is broken by a fracture? You are paralyzed waist down. You can't do anything now. There are a lot of materials you can, if you can suture a nerve in the hand, you can suture the spinal cord. It doesn't work. Same way, The brain, you can re-establish the blood supply, right? You know that internal carotid arteries are the ones which supply the brain, and the internal jugular vein. So if you connect them together, the brain will get its blood supply. But the main activity of the brain is through the spinal cord, right? When it comes down. So when you put them together, it never works. Whereas the nerves will work, peripheral nerves, which is there. Your face nerve, if it's cut, you repair it, will work, but not from the brain part. That is the reason why you cannot transplant brain. Now, your question of transplanting the organs, now there is not much of emphasis on the blood groups. RH group is not a big impediment for organ transplant, RH group. Whereas ABO group, you should have a matching, like same thing like blood. O group can give to everybody, AB can receive everybody else's. And so that is there. Same way, organs also follow the same pathway, whereas RH group doesn't have much role in that. So it can be, I don't think there'll be a problem in that. I feel so, but I have not clearly read into that, but generally speaking, there should not be a problem.
Thank you, sir. And for the last question, we have Krishna Karthikeya Bhatt. Krishna Karthikeya, you can unmute now. If Krishna is not here, maybe someone else with a raised hand, maybe Ananya Srinath, you could ask your question then. Ananya Srinath, please unmute. Ananya Srinath, you can unmute now.
So do you think it's possible for humans to self-heal if the full capacity of the brain is discovered?
Ask me again, Anya.
So what's your opinion on human self-healing if the full capacity of their brain is discovered?
Human self-healing?
Yes,
is
sir.
it?
Yes, sir. If the full capacity of the brain is discovered.
If the second part I didn't, if the capacity of the brain?
If the full capacity of the brain is discovered, because as of now,
self-healing. Now there was I saw in the chat box, why does the lizard's tail grow after cutting off? So why can't you regenerate organs? Now there is only one organ that regenerates in the human body, is a liver. So that is why you can take part of the liver. Usually it regenerates. No reason why people have not really met a reason why other organs cannot regenerate. So the self-healing and all those things are in stories and other things. So it doesn't, self-healing can occur in many things, not, I mean, self-regeneration. Healing occurs in each and every person, otherwise you wouldn't be alive after a lot of injuries, lot of things. Your cells die, regenerate, and do that. All of us, there is cellular death and regeneration. That's why we are continuing to live. But regeneration of organs has not been done. If that is what you mean by self-healing, that doesn't occur to a great extent. Lost organs or totally destroyed organs. There are a lot of organs which can repair by themselves if it is not fully gone. Your lung injuries, like you are a smoker or you have a COPD, your lung injury, your medicines can arrest it and allow it to heal. But it doesn't mean that almost dead organ can regenerate. It doesn't. I don't think anything will help in that also at present.
So as you said, the liver can heal by itself. Why is it possible only for the liver? Like, why can't
it's something, that's why I told you, I said that the mechanism not clearly understood, but other organs, it is not there. That is a fact. And liver, it can be regeneration or hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means expansion of the same thing which into a normal level, where it doesn't need cells become again, number of cells become more and more. It might be also be there, but that is not found with the other organs, some or other. That's all I can say now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, Krishna Karthike, you can speak.
Yes, ma'am. Sir, I want to ask that about tell us something about Hippocratic oath which medical students take. When the medical students take their Hippocratic oath, is it after their MBBS or when they complete their MD or something?
No, it's actually Hippocratic oath. When I even now I think is that when you take when you finish your MBBS and then finish your internship. Internship is a part of the course. You are full-fledged doctor only after you finish your internship and get the certificate of registration. This is at that time you take the oath. Usually the graduation ceremony is there. It never used to be there much, but now at present in all the colleges there's something called graduation ceremony, and that is the time they take the oath. So there is no fixed time. After finishing your course, before you start really working as a full-fledged person, doctor.
Thank you, sir. With that, we come to the end of the Q&A. I request Mrs. Suchitra Shaijan, the Executive Director, BSSF, to give the concluding remarks.
Dr. Iyer and all the students who are connected on a very, very relevant topic of the day. In fact, it had been a very, very extensive session. You know, we had almost 1 hour of session and almost half an hour of Q&A. Very relevant questions, and it really shows that you are quite well read in the topic. You read quite a lot of articles. All that is quite evident from the type of questions, because some of the questions were much above your grade. In fact, not expected from students of 9th to 12th grade. So definitely there is a lot of opportunity. There is a lot of future in India. And what I would like to say while concluding is that medical science is yet again not a standalone branch of science today. Probably it was in the past, but today it is quite an interdisciplinary branch of science. You can connect because artificial intelligence is very much there. Robotic surgery is definitely a part of medicine now. So, you know, physics is integrated, chemistry, mathematics, computer science, AI, all these are integrated in medical science. Definitely, you need to really think about how you can diversify through this branch of science. And our endeavor as a collective team, along with Dr. Iyer being a mentor, is that we want to see prospects in science through people like you. Very linear in your concept about your future. Be very open, start thinking where the opportunity lies, and you grab the opportunity. Try and find out what is quite possible for you, what is quite innate to your nature, to your style, to your understanding, and pick up that kind of profession. And definitely our endeavor through this kind of session is to enlighten you as to all the branches which are possible, and you should start focusing on that. In the morning session with Dr. Madhavan Nair sir, he was telling, you know, in India, when space science started, you know, the scientists were all from Indian schools. They had Indian structure, they had Indian style of working. Definitely, that's what we want in future also. Learn in India and find out all the possibilities what you can do to contribute for a better tomorrow. So, Dr. Iyer, it was such a pleasure, such a delight to hear you with your vast range of experience and knowledge. I'm sure these kids would have reflected so much all through your talk and discussion. And more importantly, your humility, being so patient, here to each one of them, despite being, a person with such busy schedule. You have spent so much time, and you have always been doing this along with our mentorship team. Thank you so very much, and we really look forward for more and more in the days to come to hear from you. And kids, I would like to tell you the evening session, I believe it is 8 again on space science. I would want you to connect right on time, because today we'll be discussing further in the evening about astronomy and how you can connect it with space. Thank you very much, Dr. Iyer. Really look forward again and again.
Right.
And all the very best to all the kids who've connected this afternoon.
Yeah,
and all the very best.
yeah.
Let's see the best from them. Yeah.
All the best for all of you. Yeah, great. both in your both in your test as well as life. Great.
Thank you so much, sir. And I hope that if not all, some of them will take inspiration from this session to take up this novel, rewarding, fascinating, yet challenging profession. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
And for the students, you have your next session at 4:30. Kindly join sharp on time. It will be on astronomy. Please join on time. And if you have questions, please put in the chat box or give it in. You could give review on the session in Facebook or in the VSSF Kochi Google page. Thank you.